In this video, we're going to look at an advanced use of the index and match. So in this example, we are doing some classes, and we have 5 different classes. They have a unique class ID, and then below them is the actual name of the class, and some other information with them. And then another table actually has some information regarding the instructors, and you'll notice that they are in the same column. So mystery writing is here and drawing one is here, etc. So what we want to do, the end goal is to count how many instructors are in each of these classes. And we're going to use the count A. So if I type in equal count A, just to show you how it works. And I have named this range. So if I swipe that range down, you'll see that it says mystery writing. That's how we're going to use the indirect to feed the count A function. So if I hit enter here, you will see that the count A, which counts anything in a cell other than it being empty, and there are 4 instructors in that class. So we're going to use the match to determine which cell, number of cells, that the class ID is in. We're going to use that for the index to retrieve its name. And you'll notice that when I come up here to the name box and you find mystery writing, it's in the same form that this is in. If it wasn't, then it wouldn't work. And you know you can't use spaces when creating range names. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just cover a match and an index. And this is just going to allow us to find the cell that the class ID is in, and then corresponding to its class. So we're just going to do that, and then we'll put these pieces together for the count A and the indirect. So the match, we're only looking at the row. We don't even need to worry about the column for, the column. We're not interested in the row. So for match, we'll type in equal match. And the lookup value, we're just going to pick it up here at A20. And the lookup array is going to be that value there, or those range of cells there. And we do want to retrieve an exact match because those are not in alphabetical order. And we'll hit enter. And we find that class ID A81 is in column 1 or position 1, and we'll come over here, we'll click on this, and we'll do B9, and you'll see that's 3, and M21 is 5. So that completes the match part. The next part is going to be the index. So we'll type in equal index, and the array is what do we want to retrieve, which is these names. And then we want, it says row number, but this is really, think of these as just the actual cell going across. It's really the same row. So we'll just do match because we're going to use the number across since they're both in the same direction. So we'll use the match here. The lookup value will be the B20. And what we're looking up is the class ID. And we want to have an exact match. Okay. So in this instance, oops, I didn't put the 0 there, and then. So even though the match is sitting at row, it's just going to count across. So as long as they're in the same direction, it'll all be good. So once I hit enter, you will see, oh, made a mistake. I forgot to close the index. So needed to have a second, bring this back up. I needed to have a second parenthesis. Fortunately, Excel could find that for me. So this is piano 1. So if we look over here, M21 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and piano is, guess what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, it wouldn't work if piano was somewhere else. So if I go here and I change it to A81, you will see that it's item 1, and the title or the instructor, the title of the class is mystery _ writing. So this is the actual range name, and that's why we're working through this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the actual cell we're going to put this in, and we'll type in equal count A, and count A just wants to know a value. So here what we can do, and I'll just type that in right now. Let's say drawing 1, and I hit enter, and it should come up with 3. But we don't want to have to do that. We want it to be dynamic depending on the class that we chose, so or class ID. So we'll type in equal count A again. I deleted it, and we want to use the indirect because the indirect, you'll remember, uses a range name. And so the range name comes from the index, which comes from the match. So you can see how these one relies on the other. If any of those fail, then the whole function will fail. So that's why we started with the index, or should be the match, found out which position it was in. Then we went and built the index using that position to find the, in essence, the range name, because the range name I provided is this same name that's here in green. So we're going to do the index, and the index is going to retrieve the class name, the range name I'm using. And now it wants to know which row, which is really which item, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So think of it as position. So this is where we're going to put in that match, because the match will retrieve that position. So the match is looking for the lookup value, which is over here. The lookup array is located up here. You'll notice that these are actually named. The assumption, well, let me finish it and then I'll talk about that. And then let's do we'll end that argument, and then we'll do a 0. And so then we're closing the match. The second parenthesis will close the index, the third the indirect, and the fourth will close the count A. And you hit enter, we have 4 individuals. So for A81, we wanted to retrieve this range name. And so we use the index to retrieve the names from this list. We use this list, class IDs, to build our match. So we have 4 that are in mystery writing. So let's go to M21, and you'll see that you have 2. So let's say another instructor, let's say Santa decides he wants to teach piano. So we can add Santa there. So that should change to number 3. So these are dynamic. The only thing we're changing is this cell right here. We can choose any of the classes, and that function that we built here will pick this up. Now, I put this all on one worksheet. You could actually have a worksheet that incorporates just class ID, and then a second that incorporates instructors. And as long as they have the same number of columns as we do here, and they're in the same position, same order, same position, then you can use this technique to pull out this individual information. So it's kind of an advanced use, but very, very popular. So to kind of recap, we wanted to find the end goal. If again, I put my cursor down here and I type in equal count A, and I type in mystery, the mystery writing, that is the range name that I created. So once I choose that, then it tells me that there are 4 people in this class. And again, if we add another one, Santa wants to teach mystery writing. So we have 5 people. We can't go any higher than that. So in order for this to work, we need to be able to select these 5 cells. And that can be done by using the indirect, because we know that I named these. So if I select these cells, you will see that the name turns to drawing 1. And these cells, drawing 2. These cells, all 5 of them, even the blank ones, are perspective. And these cells is for piano 1. And they have to be named, otherwise you won't be able to use it. The match found the position that the class ID is in. So I did B09, and that is, again, I just chose this. And notice I named it, class IDs. So B9 is the 3rd position. So then I use that for the index, because I want to retrieve, under row, that third position, because then that gives me the range name. So right here, it gives me drawing. If I change this to M21, you'll see that turns to piano, and that's that name. So the name I used here is the name that it used for each of these columns. And then by combining that with the indirect is looking for that range. Now, if I type it indirect here, just so we can experiment with it, if I type in equal indirect, and I type in mystery writing, because indirect needs to have a text, whether it's a range or a cell address. And I can tab over, and you'll notice that it's incorporating all of these. And I hit enter, and it's just spilling these over. Something didn't work right here. I don't know why it didn't work. What did I mess up here? That's interesting. I should have been able to pick those up. I did before. So I'll type in count A, and we'll have it count those. There we go. That's 5. It should have just spilled over and listed those items. It actually showed the 5 references. I just don't know why it didn't display the names. It did that before. Oh well. Now you gotta love Excel. So this can be a very powerful feature of using the match, the index, along with the auto indirect, and count A. So a little complicated. As with most functions, if you start from the middle and work your way out, just build it. Now here I built it individually. I could have built it here to make sure it worked. So that is working with a little bit more of an advanced indirect and index and match, and combining that all to use a dynamic count.